The chef behind Ynyshir, which is Wales's only 2-star Michelin restaurant, says he's not embarrassed to have received just 1 star in his hygiene rating, claiming that the inspectors didn't appreciate that he's thinking outside the box in his approach in the kitchen. Now, Ynyshir offers a high-end dining experience. It starts at £468 per person, and that includes a 30 course tasting menu and an in-house DJ. Let's talk to Jack Stein, Executive and Development Chef of the Stein Restaurant Group, son of Rick, I think, as well. Hello, Jack.
Yes, I am. Hey,
yes.
Good afternoon.
Well, just checking. And also, I always think it must be a little bit annoying to be introduced as son of somebody. So let's pretend that never happened. What do you make of the experience that Ynyshir has had?
Well, firstly, I mean, Gareth's one of the best chefs in the country and he's in a very, very rarefied group who don't get to where they are without having the highest standards in everything he does. So, I know people have worked in that kitchen, and there's no doubt that that is one of the most organised and clean kitchens in the entire country. I think the problem is that like with everything, the Food Standards Agency do have to have a list of kind of things that they're looking for to standardise, from a 2 Michelin star restaurant all the way down to a small cafe serving, sandwiches. So I think, unfortunately, in this case, in a lot of his food is way outside the box. He's really pushing boundaries and technique. And I just don't think they've caught up really with that. And that's probably the issue here.
Sure. But Jack, I mean, the problem is, as you've just said, this is a food standards agency that serves to protect all of us. And actually, if you were to get food poisoning from the local cafe down the road because they'd stored their fish really badly, it would be the same food poisoning as you might have got from a Michelin-starred restaurant that has stored its fish badly. That's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, in this rating, there are some issues around record keeping, which is he's admitted that's been an issue, and that's you've got to be really he would love to have a 5-star rating. Like, it's as important to a restaurant as any rating system, whether it's Michelin or AA or anything. You'd want to have top marks. But I do think in this case, when you're doing things like fermenting and salt, he's got salt aged meat, he's aging fish. Aging fish is something that's very, very new. It's not new in as much as people have been doing it for years, salting fish for hundreds and thousands of years, but in terms of this new technique of aging fish, and I don't think that the EHO, the environmental health officers, would have seen it before. So I think that's going to be something I think that they need to pick up on. And this has happened a lot, like things like vacuum packing machines. When they were first introduced to kitchens, to start with, if you only had 1, you were automatically given a 2 rating because you needed to have 2 for ready to eat and non-ready to eat food. So it's just a question of learning, and he will get re-evaluated, and I don't doubt he'll get 5 stars.
Right. What does the aging fish process look like?
Well, it started really with a guy in Australia called Josh Nyland, who I know quite well, and he started to age some big things like tuna, a bit like you'd age meat. So he'd give it sort of 10 to 15 days dry aging to develop the flavours, which you think with fish is quite unusual because you expect fish to be served, fresh. So it's just a new technique, and it produces different flavours and a different experience. And I think in Gareth's 30-course tasting menu, he's showing people what is cutting edge in terms of what chefs are trying to do with their ingredients. And so it's unusual. Dad had Josh down to his restaurant in Australia, and so it was really interesting. It's just a completely different way of thinking. So again, I'm not expecting the local EHOs to really understand that at the moment. So they will, it will become more popular. Lots of people are trying it now because it is quite sort of on that cusp of Michelin fish cookery.
How does the customer and the consumer retain confidence when they are sampling these relatively new, although kind of heritage techniques, though, Jack? I mean, it can be very confusing, can't it? You go into a supermarket like Waitrose and you'll see a cabinet with 30-day aging meat, and then if you just walk around the corner, there'll be a steak on display in the pre-packed area that says best before, and that's not 30 days in the future.
Yeah, again, it's a really good point. And I think that Yeah, where you've got old techniques like fermentation, the fermentation process in beer and wine and and bread, and these things have been around for a long time, so we're sort of used to them. I think in terms of fermentation, when you're pickling stuff, and there's a lot of that kind of making sauerkrauts and kimchis and all this sort of stuff, which is very popular in restaurants. I guess the best way you can deal with it is to make sure you're regularly testing and sending off batches to have them tested for like microbial load, I suppose, if you're serving them to customers. But again, somewhere like Ynyshir, somebody like Gareth would be really, really hot on that. I mean, again, I don't think that this is a cause not to not want to go to that restaurant, because it's clear. I mean, the reason I think it's really hit the news is the fact that it's a 2 Michelin star restaurant and people are making the joke. Imagine if it was a 3 Michelin star restaurant with 1 star in the Food Standards Agency. It seems a bit of a kind of a juxtaposition, but I don't doubt he'll get reassessed and he will come out with full marks, because he is very, very talented, and he must be mortified.
Sure. I think we've got very different perspectives, Jack, because actually I don't want Michelin starred food poisoning, so I'm probably going to run with the food primary.
The thing is, it's really difficult, because in the kitchen there is a lot of control points that you have to be really, really careful with from the moment the food comes in to the moment it's served. And I totally take your point. A 1-star rated food offering I wouldn't normally go to, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's assessed quite quickly, because you get the opportunity. If you do, we've had it in our restaurant. We got a 4 in one of our restaurants, and we asked them to reassess us within, and they came quite quickly, because they realized that you don't want these things to be wrong. You want to put them right immediately, because it's obviously it's not great PR for the restaurant. But like I say, he's a chef that I think will turn that around very, very quickly.
Yeah. Just before you go, the 30-course tasting menu for people who think, oh blimey, that's just going to be way too much. How do you do that without it being a little bit too much?
Well, so it's again, a lot of the course. I mean, they're very small mouthfuls. A lot of them are kind of snack size, and it's a journey. He like a lot of those long tasting menus. He's getting people to come for 3 or 4 hours, probably is the length of the meal. So when you actually look at it, you're kind of eating small bits, sort of snacking through those periods. It's not like a full-on meal like with big courses, but it's really an opportunity to showcase unusual ingredients and techniques and really intense flavors. He uses a lot of sort of Japanese flavors in his cookery with lots of British and great Welsh ingredients. So, it would be an experience. And I haven't personally eaten there, but anyone I know who has said it's one of the best meals they've ever had. And the DJ, I think, is the bit that makes me laugh, because he has this kind of modern attitude towards a restaurant, which I think is really refreshing. So it's definitely something I would definitely looking forward to my first visit there when I get there.
That's because you've still got your hearing. For those of us who are losing our hearing, that is a tricky one. But next time we talk to you, Jack, we will play a little bit of our own in-house DJ music in the background of the interview. We'll see how we go.
I look forward to it.
Thank you very much. That's Jack Stein, Executive and Development Chef of the Stein Restaurant Group.